Hello, I'm Andy Walker with Digital Farm TV Rural News. Dry seasonal conditions have resulted in a slow start to the winter cropping season, but plantings are now well underway across Australia. According to the June Australia Crop Report by the Australian Bureau of Agricultural and Resource Economics and Sciences, ABARES, dry periods in eastern Australia have been interspersed with timely rainfall, replenishing soil moisture profiles. It was a different story in the west, where sowing and establishment conditions had been poor. The total area planted to winter crops in Australia was forecast to fall by 2% to around 22.2 million hectares in 2012 to 13. Farm organisations have called on producers to actively report sheep theft to give a true indication of the extent of the problem. Some have called also for higher penalties to further emphasise the gravity of sheep duffing. Because of a lack of reporting, police figures on sheep theft were thought to represent only a portion of the losses that actually occur. In South Australia alone, so far this financial year, there have been 8,508 sheep reported stolen, valued at $1.39 million. Losses have reached $1.7 million in Victoria, with 250 recorded incidents, while Western Australia recorded 44 sheep theft offences valued at about $500,000. As Europe's debt crisis continues to rattle global equity markets, farming has been championed as a sound, long-term investment for investors needing a safe haven for their money. High-profile international investor and author Jim Rogers, who co-founded the powerful quantum hedge fund in the US with billionaire George Soros, last week urged his fellow venture capitalists to buy a farm. Rogers, who correctly forecast the past decade's bull commodity run, recommended agricultural investments ahead of gold. But while some big superannuation funds have had long-term farm sector ties, there had not been the flood of fresh capital into agriculture that some analysts have predicted. The concept of allowing Chinese companies to invest in Australian farmland has prompted a robust debate about foreign land ownership, food security and Australia's future. Maverick National Senator Barnaby Joyce, who proposes tougher restrictions on foreign ownership of land, surprised observers with a claim that Australia was now a net importer of food and our birthrights were under threat. Federal Trade Minister Craig Emerson fired back and accused Senator Joyce of wanting to drag the country back to the 1950s. Mr. Emerson argued that stonewalling any foreign investment was short-sighted and irresponsible. Chinese firms wouldn't be the first to buy Australian farmland for food security, with a veritable United Nations, including Americans, Brazilians, Quatarians and Singaporeans, already having a benign presence. Digital Farm TV has come up with the one compelling reason why the Chinese need Aussie farmland. It's estimated that 20% of China's farmland is contaminated by arsenic and heavy metals from mines and factories. The UK's Guardian newspaper reported that this was likely to prove a bigger long-term problem than air and water pollution, with potentially dire consequences for food production and human health. The risks are only slowly coming to light in information-shy China. The Economic Information Daily has reported that pollution had ruined almost 12 billion kilograms of food production each year, causing economic losses of around $4 billion US.